Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, let's jump right into this. Today we are embarking on a massive, planet-sized thought experiment. We're looking at one of the absolute most mysterious, unexplored realms on our entire globe. It's a place of total darkness, crushing extremes, and secrets that we are only just barely beginning to uncover.
So here's the core hypothetical question for today. What if we somehow drained the Mariana Trench? To set the stage for this journey, we're descending into the deepest natural trench in the world. It's located deep in the western Pacific Ocean, sitting quietly about 200 kilometers east of the Mariana Islands. It is a world entirely isolated from the sun and sky. So what exactly would we find if we just pulled the plug?
Section 1. The deepest place on Earth. Sizing up the abyss. First, we really need to wrap our heads around the sheer, unfathomable scale of this place. Its maximum known depth reaches a staggering 11,034 meters straight down into the Earth's crust. To understand just how deep that really is, compare it to Mount Everest. The absolute highest, most towering peak on our planet stands at 8,848 meters tall. The Mariana Trench plunges down to 11,034 meters. The crazy takeaway here is if you dropped Mount Everest straight inside the trench, its peak wouldn't even poke out of the water. It would still be a full 2 kilometers completely submerged.
Moving on to Section 2. Unfathomable ocean pressure. The weight of the water.
As we dive deeper into this abyss, a zone where, absolutely no sunlight can ever reach, the massive water column above exerts some seriously extreme, crushing physical forces. At the bottom, the pressure hits an astonishing 1,086 bars. What's truly wild is understanding the magnitude of that number. That is over 1,000 times the standard atmospheric pressure you and I are experiencing right now at sea level.
Let's translate that cold statistic into a visceral analogy to help you truly grasp the physical reality down there. The pressure in the abyss is exactly like having a fully grown African elephant standing with all of its weight directly on your big toenail. Yeah, ouch is an understatement. It's honestly a miracle anything can withstand that kind of crushing force without just instantly imploding.
But here is where it gets truly fascinating. Section 3. Thriving in the dark. Life in the extremes.
Despite conditions that seem completely unfathomable to us surface dwellers, life actually thrives here. Did you know 80% of life on our planet lives in the deep ocean? A lot of it feeds on organic matter, like giant piles of whale carcasses that just slowly drift down from above. Take Xenophyophores, for example. These are bizarre, single-celled organisms found an incredible 10.6 kilometers deep. They literally extract minerals right out of their surroundings to build their own exoskeletons. First discovered way back in 1883 by Henry Bowman Brady, they've since been observed deep in the trench by the Scripps Institution of Oceanography. It proves that microbial life isn't just casually existing down there, it is highly active and incredibly specialized.
And it's not just microbes either. We've had some pretty major, larger biological discoveries too. During a famous descent in the 1960s, explorer Jacques Piccard reported seeing flatfish and shrimp, noting the bottom was a waste of firm diatomaceous ooze. Now, some scientists are highly skeptical of that and think he might have actually just seen a sea cucumber. But the discoveries absolutely didn't stop there. Fast forward to December 2014, and an entirely new species of snailfish was found living at a crushing depth of 8,145 meters.
So the bottom line is, if we actually drained the Mariana Trench, we would undoubtedly uncover a plethora of massive, completely undiscovered species. Why massive? Well, it's due to a highly unique evolutionary phenomenon known as deep-sea gigantism. This process allows organisms, like certain giant crustaceans, to grow unusually large in deep, frigid ocean environments. Because the trench is so completely inaccessible to humans, it acts as a perfect hidden sanctuary for these giant creatures.
But unfortunately, wildlife isn't the only thing we'd find if we pulled back the water. Section 4. The human stain. Pollution in the unreachable.
This part is a pretty stark, jarring contrast. Despite this being the most isolated ecosystem on the planet, the sprawling reach of human waste is already at the bottom. During Victor Vescovo's record-breaking dive in 2014, he literally saw a plastic bag and candy wrappers just resting on the absolute bottom of the world. And it goes way beyond typical consumer trash. Scientific American reported the presence of carbon-14 inside the bodies of aquatic animals living down there. That carbon-14 is residual fallout from human nuclear bomb testing.
Which brings us to a truly shocking statistic, 100%.
Research has shown that absolutely every single amphipod tested from the deep trench had ingested at least one piece of synthetic microplastic. Even in the deepest, most utterly inaccessible part of our entire ocean, human pollution has a 100% reach right into the local food chain.
All right, let's pivot slightly and look beneath the trash and the wildlife. Section 5, Deep Sea Geology, the Tectonic Truth.
Now, there are a lot of myths about what sits at the rocky bottom of the trench, including the expectation that you'd hit a glowing core of liquid magma. Well, you won't. To understand why, we have to recognize that our Earth isn't a perfect sphere, it's an oblate spheroid. Basically, this means it's slightly flattened at the poles and bulging at the equator. Because of this specific planetary shape, the bottom of the Mariana Trench is actually not the absolute closest point to the Earth's center or its core.
Instead, what you will find is a zone of highly active geology. The trench is a tectonic plate subduction zone. This means it's an area where one massive piece of the Earth's crust is slowly, relentlessly being forced underneath another. What's terrifying is that this intense subduction zone was once actively proposed as a dumping ground for human nuclear waste. The logic was that the dangerous waste would just be safely pushed down into the Earth's mantle over millions of years. Thankfully, that terrible idea is strictly prohibited by international law.
So we have a clear picture of what's down there. Section 6, Why we cannot drain it, the catastrophic consequences.
Let's finally answer that hypothetical. What would actually happen if we miraculously removed all that water? Well, it would trigger a completely devastating chain reaction. Step 1. All that unique aquatic life and those undiscovered species die instantly without their environment. Step 2. The immense, crushing water pressure that has been there for millennia is instantly removed. Step 3. That sudden change entirely breaks the highly delicate balance of the extreme ecosystem. And finally, Step 4. Because plate subduction zones are incredibly sensitive geological areas, suddenly removing that immense pressure could easily trigger massive megathrust earthquakes right in the Earth's mantle, literally shaking the planet itself to its core.
Which brings us to a truly profound question to leave you pondering today. Is it actually a good thing the deepest, most mysterious part of the ocean remains completely untouched? Draining the Mariana Trench is a fascinating thought experiment for sure. It reveals an invisible world of alien-like creatures, crushing pressure, and sadly, human pollution. But perhaps its intense inaccessibility is exactly what keeps our entire planet's ecosystem in a safe, working balance. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive today. Keep questioning the world around you, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.